So the software we're going to be using in this class to write HTML is called Notepad++, and we do want the ++ version. So if you're on a PC, go down to the search bar and type in Notepad, and you'll see the two versions. The one that we want is Notepad++. If you're on a Mac, Brackets.io is the website that you can download Brackets from. And Zach, is that what you're using, is Brackets or something else? Brackets, okay. So I would recommend for a PC that you use Notepad++, and on a Mac you use Brackets. So this is the software that we're going to be using. If you don't have it, simply go to Google and type in Notepad++, and at their website you get a download, and you can click here to download the version that, the latest version. So that's the software we're going to be using, and when you open it, this is what it looks like. All right, so everybody has Notepad++ launched and open, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so I gave you two documents. The first is a single sheet. It was just a screen capture, and this is just a basic shell of what a web page has to look like. We'll go through all this in just a second, but whenever we start a brand new page, and I tell you to start with the basic information, this is it. And opposite of what you see on this big packet that I just gave you, what they have right in the middle here is doctype HTML public, W3C. Do you see all this big line of code? There's nothing wrong with that. That's just getting more information about what kind of a document type it is, but the easier, cleaner, simple version is this one. It's just doctype HTML. I'm also going to share with you that all of this is on Blackboard, so if you misplace this document or need it at home and you don't have it, it is in Blackboard. So, web technologies. Plan 5 needs to be turned on. That would make it more accessible if it was actually turned on. All right, so in Learning Plan 5, this HTML packet, which is right here, the link is in Blackboard, plus it's down here, I just need to activate them. Those are two things that we're going to need for this project. So go ahead and log into Blackboard if you aren't already, and go to Learning Plan 5, because in step number 3 of the learning activities, besides the packet, there is a line that says download and save this scuba diving photo. I need you to do that also. So click on the scuba diving photo, it'll show up like this, and then you can right click and choose save image. And I would just put it in the downloads folder on this computer for right now, so we know where it is, and then say save. So the packet that we're working through that I just handed out to you is this one. And this is the very long, drawn-out version of the initial doc type statement. And then the document that I gave you, the starting document, is a simple one-page document that's much cleaner than that. So in Notepad++, we are going to create this single sheet that I handed out to you, which is the basic frame, but I'm going to walk you through it. I don't want you to type it top to bottom and not pay attention. I want you to understand what I'm saying. So the very first thing that we start with, and we have to use the right symbols. If you forget a symbol, if you make a colon, a semicolon, or vice versa, if you forget a closing caret, HTML stops working the minute it hits that point, and nothing else works. So typing cleanly, exactly as you see, is critical. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with cursor up there, the opening caret, and let me attempt to make this bigger. I I'm so used to using a Mac. This is ridiculous. How do I make my screen zoom in? Oh, did I just do it accidentally? Whoa! Anyone? It's simple. I do it all the time, and now I can't think of what it is. Not that one. Whoa. Okay, don't you guys use PCs all the time?
I tried to.
Why can't I think? All right, I made my screen bigger. Hopefully that helps you guys. So the first thing that we type in is the opening caret, the one that looks like the less than sign. And then we write exclamation point, doc type, and it can be capitalized or lowercase, doesn't matter. In our handout it's capitalized, so I'll do the same. And then HTML, and then the closing caret. The thing about code is that every tag that you open, you have to close. So I want you to hit return a few times, and then do the opening caret, and then we're going to close this HTML tag. To close a tag, you use the backslash. So the one down at the bottom of the keyboard, and then HTML and caret. So all this is telling whatever's reading it what kind of a document this is, and it's saying, hey, this is an HTML, which is Hypertext Markup Language. That's the language that builds websites. So you guys have maybe heard of PHP and Java and all these other different coding languages. This is a different one, so it's telling it, whatever you see between this opening tag and this closing tag is HTML, and that's how you should interpret it and show it to people, okay? So that's the first thing. Now let's do a file, save as, and do a couple of different things here. I want you to navigate, for now, just to the desktop. And on your desktop, I want you to create a new folder. So you see the new folder icon up here? And we're going to call this Bubble Under. That's the name of this website. And then the name of the file that we're starting with, we're going to call index. And then in the drop-down save type, right now it's a text file. Look at all these different options that we see. The one that we want to scroll down to is Hypertext Markup Language File, HTML. And that automatically puts .html behind it. And then when we say save, a cool thing happens. We start seeing the benefits of using Notepad++ over generic Notepad in that it color codes things. So it knows that we have an opening tag and a closing tag. All right, the next thing that we have to do on any web page is the next line of code. So it's the opening caret and then HTML. Also notice as you type, it starts populating common things, so you don't always have to type in the whole word if it shows up in the drop-down. And then we're going to do a space, and then LANG for language equals, and then in quotation marks, EN for English. So end quote, end caret. And I actually misspoke. This first line that says that the doc type is HTML, that's just telling it what to expect. This is actually the opening HTML code, this first one right here. And then we put extra information with it. And we said everything you're going to read is going to be in the English language. So if you're coding in a different language, in French, you would do language equals FR. So this is your opening tag, this is your closing tag. When you click on one, it highlights, and the other one highlights as well. All right, let's go below that. I'm going to put a few more spaces in because we have a lot of stuff. All of the code for our page is going to fit inside of these two HTML tags. So the next tag that we're going to write is called the head. So HEAD, wrap it in the opening and closing carets, greater than and less than signs, and then return down a few spaces and make your closing head tag so you don't forget, because sometimes when you just code straight through, you forget to close the code. So backslash HEAD. I'm just going to put some extra spaces in here. So what we now have is a head section. And if you look at this single handout that I gave you, the next tag underneath that is body. So how you remember how this works, this is my little sheet around it. Things that go on in your head, in your mind, do other people know about? Does the outward world see that? No. Things that go on in your body, on it, not inside it, do other people see? Is that visible to other people? Yes. Like what you wear on your body, people can see. So the stuff that goes in the head code is never seen when we view a web page. Humans don't see it. Who does see the head code is the robots that search the web and look for keywords, look for titles of things, and then figure out how to put you on a Google search result, that type of thing. So everything in the head is just extra information, like the title of the page, what it's about, some keywords, things like that. When you do a Google search for whatever, like I just did, how do I zoom in on a PC? It went to the head tags and looked for information that talked about those keywords and sites that relate to that, and that's how it pulled up that website. So things that go inside the head are not seen on the actual page. Things that go inside the body tags are seen. So after the head tag, we'll come down and we're going to make our opening body tag. So you do the opening caret sign body, and then scroll down to the end, wherever you have your closing HTML tag, and right above it, one line, go ahead and put your closing body tag. Except for you have to spell it right. All right, so here's body. So inside of it, I need to zoom out a smidge. Here's my entire page. The first line of code tells it how it's going to interpret it. It's HTML language. Then we have your opening HTML code and the closing way down here. Inside that, you have the head. This is the search engine information. Will ultimately go here, open and close. And then you have the body, open and close. All the code written in between the body tags actually shows up on your website. That's what people view. Another cool thing about using Notepad++ is that when you click in one of these tags, if it's spelled right and coded right, it's going to highlight in purple, or at least that's what mine highlights in the color, and it's going to highlight the closing tag. So if I accidentally had a typo there, notice how when I'm clicking on these, they're not lighting up purple. I'm like, you think you have it right, but you don't notice the typo. And you go, oh, I spelled that word wrong. Now that I spell it right, I get the purple highlighting showing up. So does everybody have a page that looks like this? Yes.
Mine doesn't have like the color and stuff. I don't know why it's not doing that.
It's probably the way you saved it. So do a file, save as, and make sure that the language, the type drop-down box is not text or anything else. It has to be HTML, Hypertext Markup Language. Do you see that option in the drop-down box?
Okay. It says it's already open in here, but it's still not doing it. I don't know why. Should I just restart? Just restart?
No, I'll come back and take a peek. Everybody that is at this point and it's clean and good and looks perfect and all of these highlights work, I'd like you to also save this file a different way. So do a file, save as, and not in your Bubble Under folder, but just on your normal desktop. I want you to save this as template. And then Hypertext Markup Language needs to be the type, HTML. And notice whatever you've named it also shows up in this upper left corner in the tab. So it says template.html. So after we've made that template file, close it out using the red X, and then do a file, open. And now we're going to go to wherever you put your Bubble Under folder, hopefully on your desktop just for now. And in your Bubble Under, I have nothing. Well, isn't that great?
I don't have anything either.
Didn't we just say that there?
The desktop.
Yeah, I saved template to the desktop.
Oh, wait. Never mind.
Oh, life is fun, isn't it? All right, index, there it is. It's not in my folder. So mine wasn't in the right folder, but it is actually on my desktop. So we're looking for the file called index. And I had the same problem you did. It only got those first two lines. See, this is fun. This is why we do this together. Close that one. Go, in fact, back to the one that was full. So, do they have a recent on here?
My index one is full. Should I keep that one?
Sure, if it's full, go ahead. If not, for the rest of us, go back to the one called template. Notice the little icon that it puts next to it is, for me, it's the Google Chrome icon. All that's saying is that it knows that it's HTML, and the way that humans see or read HTML is through a browser. We don't look at it as code. We want to see it in a browser. So whatever your default browser is, that's what the icon will pop up. So if you use Explorer, it'll be that little letter E or whatever. That's just saying that it's going to use a web browser to open it. So go ahead and open this one, but what I do want to do is I want to name this one index and put it in that bubble under. So we're going to make a copy of it. So let's try this again. Do a file, save as, navigate to the bubble under folder that we indeed did make, and instead of calling it template, we need to call this one index, and I'll tell you why in just a second. And then as long as it says .html, we should be okay, or you can type in .html right after the word index. And here it is. So it says index.html, and when I click on these things, they light up. That helps me know that it's working as an HTML document. The reason that we named it index is because every single website uses the name index for its landing page or its home page. So if I type in go to ltc.edu, edu, it automatically finds the one page on that server that's called index. That's the page that loads. We don't call it home or start or anything else. From then on, we name pages. So there's a page probably called about or academics or visit. The first page always is named index. Okay, that's really important to remember. All right, let's jump back to our code. And you can go to the packet, the big packet that I gave you. The one that looks like this. And you can see that in this first block up at the top, they talk about using that much longer doc type name. That's fine. We don't need to do that. We don't need to type that in every single time. Also at the bottom of this page, they show some keyboard shortcuts that you need to use to get these different symbols. I'm not sure why this is on page 1 because we don't, this is like putting the apple or the cart way before the horse. We'll get to that. We'll come back to this. When we want an actual copyright sign to show up, we have to type in a code. But for now, we're going to move on to the next page, which is diving into our website. And it's important that we kind of understand the big picture here of what we're going to be making. So, second paragraph talks about this is a diving club, comprises a group of local enthusiasts, and this is what they want for their website. So when you go to make a website for a business or a club, there's a reason for it. You have to have marketing thought behind it, what you hope to accomplish, what you want to do on your website. So they want to share photos from previous trips, stay informed on upcoming trips, provide information about meetups, read other members' dive reports, and announce club news. They also want to attract new members, provide links to other diving websites, and provide a convenient way to search for diving-related information. The regular visitors to this club are very keen to be involved. It's a fun site. People want to come back again and again. This doesn't exist yet. You are going to start building it. So here's where we start. The home page, or the index, if you want to write the word index right on your sheet of paper to kind of remember, it's not called home or start, it's called index. So we're going to have title and body copy. So this is what we want it to look like, quite literally. So if you're in your folder, flip it over, come to the top page of what I consider to be page 3. Notice we don't need all of this doc type extra information, we're just going to start. Actually, this is the whole thing. Never mind. This is their version of a template. It's much more involved than we need. You can see that in addition to this long information at the top, inside the head, they have information for a title, which we will get to, and then they have this meta tag. We're going to get to that later. I don't want you to worry about it right now. But what we do need to do is apply title tags. So back in your own version of Notepad, go inside the head tags. So if you don't have space in here, make some space. And the neat thing about Notepad++, and neat is probably not the word you guys would use to describe it, but you can organize your code by using tabs also so that you can push it in. So I like to start with a tab, and then we're going to do our opening title tag. So open caret title, close caret, and then go down 2 lines and do your closing title tag with the backslash. And notice that when you click on them, if you've spelled everything correctly and have it coded correctly, they both light up. So inside the head, which is only information that search engines and those bots will see, this is where you're going to put the title of your page. So the title of this web page that we're working on is called Bubble Under. So you can type that in. And then a dash or 2 dashes, I don't care if they're what they look like. And then the Diving Club for the Southwest UK. So those words are literally wrapped inside title tags. And what that means is that the bots that are going around from Google search engines and other search engines will read that. They'll know that whatever is contained inside of those title tags is the title of this website, which when people search for Bubble Under Diving Club, well, there's a bunch of those words. It's going to help pull it up in the search engine. Alright, so that's the first thing we did. I want you guys to hit save. You can do a Command S, a file save, or come up to this little icon right here and click the save button. And then to actually see what this looks like in a browser, we're going to run it in a browser. I like to run it in Chrome. Based on what I told you about what's inside the head tags, what do you think we're going to see when we go view this in a browser? Are we going to see this title printed out?
No.
No, because this is the stuff just the search engine sees. So let's do, at the top you see all these menu items. Go over to Run, and then they have Launch in a variety of different browsers. I'm going to say Launch in Chrome. I would suggest you do the same. And here is a preview of our website. Right now it's not published anywhere, so it's literally pulling from our C drive. You can see it up here. But index.html looks like this. Fantastic website we built, right? There's nothing there. But we did put information that search engines can use, so we're on the right track. From there, I want you to go back to Notepad++. And now we're going to go down to the body tag. So this is the stuff that we actually see when we view a web page. So inside the body tag, the first thing that we're going to see is the words bubbleinder.com, and we want them to be big. And how we tell things to have different hierarchy is with heading tags. Heading 1 is the biggest, heading 2 is smaller, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, etc., etc. They get smaller in size. So the first thing we're going to have, and I tab just so things are nested inside of tags. I like to have my code kind of nested. You don't have to put that tab in there. Spaces in Notepad mean absolutely nothing. So I could do 15 spaces, and it's not going to show up on my website as 15 spaces. I actually have to code it for a space when I want to. So opening caret H1, closing caret. And if you want to hit the space bar 3 times just to move over a little bit, and then right away do your closing H1 tag. I'm only having you guys do this now so that you get in the habit of closing out your tags. In real life, once you're comfortable with this, you're just going to type left to right and close it out when you get to the end. But it's really easy to forget that closing tag. Now, whatever we type in between there actually will show up on our screen. So we're going to type in bubbleinder.com. And again, all these spaces that I have around it mean nothing, but I'm going to get rid of them. I just did it so I had some room in between my two tags. So bubbleunder.com, change that to a capital letter. Save your document and go back and run it in Chrome. Run Lunch in Chrome. Looky there. We just made the words bubble under show up. Yes?
Mine doesn't. When I click on the run thing, it doesn't show up.
Okay, I'll come back in just a second. Before I do that, everybody else go back to your code, and on the next line, I want you to make an H2, heading 2, type in your name, and then I want you to make H3 through H6 with something there so that you can see how this works. Another shortcut, once you kind of get writing code, is what I might want to do is just copy and paste this a few times, and then all I have to do is change out the numbers rather than type everything over and over again. So make sure you have an H3 with a closing H3, H4 with an H4, H5, and an H6. I'm going to just make my Chrome browser smaller so I can have it floating over here. So this is what you should see if you have your code correct. To this, and let's say that we screw something up and we forget something. So I'm going to just show you, don't do this, but I'm going to forget this backslash here. So notice how I really didn't close out the title. I thought I did, but I didn't. And I'm going to spell body wrong and save it, and then I'm going to run it in Chrome. Look what we get. And this can be really frustrating when you're coding and things have been working and all of a sudden your screen goes blank. It hit a problem way up here where it doesn't know how to keep going. It doesn't even know, I didn't say body, so it doesn't even know what a body is. If I did body, here's another really common thing. I'll change this to put that back in. So this makes it right. Here's a really common thing. People forget to close out a tag. So if I forget the backslash on my heading 1, but I think it's there because I see H1, I think everything's cool. You also have to hit refresh, by the way, when you load this website again so that it pulls up the latest version of the code. Come on. Try this again. Oh, for crying out loud. Why are my samples not showing? Alright. Software changes are required. Anybody else getting this happening right now? Downloading and installing software on your computer? You had it earlier?
Well, my headers aren't coming up.
Oh. They don't. You won't see that on your page?
Oh,
I mean, this is only in the code.
yeah, I'm not seeing the Brenda's though. I'm seeing the bubble under, but I'm not seeing the Brenda.
Okay, you shouldn't see the bubble under because that's in the head tags, which do not show up.
Oh no, I see the bubbleunder.com. That's what I meant.
Oh, this part. Okay. So, does your code look the same? H1 and then close in H1?
Yeah,
H2, close in H2?
yeah,
And then do you have a closing body tag and a closing HTML tag?
yeah. I really do.
Okay, I really do. So the next line that you would, like I said, you're going to type is P for paragraph, and then you're going to type the sentence. And if it's just constantly scrolling to the right, up in the toolbar, about halfway across, we see word wrap. And if you click on that, when it gets to the edge of your screen, it's actually going to wrap back down, which is very helpful. All right, after that, we need to close the paragraph. I didn't have you type the closing tag instantly, so now we have to remember to close it. So it's \P inside of those carets. And again, you can double check by clicking on your opening tag, and the closing one should light up and should show you that it's there. To check this, make sure you save before you go view, and then run it in Chrome, and there it is. We now have a paragraph. So a couple of things are happening. The text that we see is a certain font. It looks like a Times New Roman type of thing. Because nowhere in our code yet have we told it what kind of font we want to use or what color font or anything else, it uses the default of the browser. So the default look for Chrome, if nothing else is stated, is that it's going to use Times New Roman and that all the H ones are going to be this big. So I'm just going to guess and say it's a bold, I don't know, 26 point something. That's what it defaults to. We can change all that, and we will be doing that, but that's why we're seeing it this way. It's the browser's default. If we were to go view this in Explorer, which we can if it's on here, and it is, it might look a little bit different. So let's go back to Notepad, go back to Run, and launch it in another browser. I'm going to do Internet Explorer because it appears to be here. I don't want any of that. Go away. So this is what it looks like in Internet Explorer. It looks very similar. We are going to find some glitches that exist with Internet Explorer. And sometimes when you're doing true coding, you have to do workarounds for it. So not many people that really are into web building and coding are very fond of Internet Explorer. They kind of hate it because there are a lot of weird glitches with it. So close that out, and we are back to this page, and we have done our job. We have made an opening heading and a first paragraph. Flip the page in your booklet that I gave you. The next section is called Welcoming New Visitors, and they just want us to expand a little bit on this tagline that we had. So we're going to add a second heading, a subheading level 2, H2, so it's going to be a little bit smaller, and then another paragraph. So, go down to an empty line, and on the next page in our handout under Welcoming New Visitors, we're going to type in H2 is the opening H2 tag, and we're going to say, welcome to our super duper scuba site. And remember to close it out with a \H2. Okay, we want to have the opening and closing tags. So whatever is in between those two tags will be displayed in a heading 2 level. Kind of like using styles in Microsoft Word. And then after that, on our next line, we're going to write a paragraph. So opening paragraph tag, which is a P. And then go ahead and type in those 2 sentences that you see there. When you're done typing those sentences, make sure you close out the paragraph tag with a \P wrapped in those opening and closing carets. So what we have inside of our body tags at this point are 4 different things. We have a heading 1, which is bigger. We have a paragraph. We have a heading 2, which is slightly smaller, the next step down, and then another paragraph. And when the body closes out, that's the end of it. That means that's all that's going to be visible on our web page. Make sure you save it before you go jump to the view. Do you go by Ricky or Ricardo for my purposes back there?
What do you like?
I don't care.
I don't care.
You don't care either? Okay.
No.
There's a shortcut for viewing it in Chrome, and even though you don't have this drop down, I'm wondering if it will work.
Okay.
Control Alt Shift R. Try that.
Control.
Alt Shift R,
Okay.
which works for everybody. I'm just saying. Since you don't have the drop down, I'm wondering if that will work. And I don't know why you don't have this drop down, to be honest. So after you've typed all that in, go ahead and launch it in Chrome, and this should be what we see right now. A heading 1 and a heading 2, and then 2 different paragraphs. Have you guys accomplished this? Have you made a little tiny web page using QR code? All right, excelente. Let's stop and take a break right here, and we'll come back and we'll continue doing some coding.